You are welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Come, let's talk on racism and let's talk on integration. Wherever you are, you're welcome to the Sampon Global TV. And today I'm your host, Vera Sampon. I am having also a dynamic lady with me, and we're going to be talking today on the effect of racism on integration. Remember the death of George? If you've forgotten, I want to remind you quickly of the death of George Floyd. That was on the 25th of May this year, 2020, where he died because one white policeman decided to put his knee on his neck. And so that's why our racism talk is get your knee off our necks. Many a times we've had knees on our necks that has kept us not be able to move forward. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to our program today. Share the link. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to join the big family. And I'm going to be taking you today to the history lane. If you remember the story and the history of 1884, 1885, where the German Chancellor Bismarck organized a kind of political conference, the Africa Berlin Conference, and he chose to remove the Africans from the map and decided just to discuss with his friends and people like him about the life of the Africans. And in the course of this, they had to destroy some amazing things. That destroyed culture, that destroyed the language of the people, that destroyed the socio-economic and political structures of the people. And like if that wasn't enough, after the war, that was the Second World War, we also had a challenging situation in Germany whereby there was a need for migrants, a need for people to come to Germany to work. But before we continue, I want to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that migration and integration has always been a thing of the past. It has always been there from the very beginning. When we know the story of the Adamites and the people from Adam, then we know that migration was always there from the beginning. So migration and integration is not a new topic. But today we are talking about it as if again it was a new story because we have some challenges in our integration process. Globalism, international migration, and international migration has become the order of the day. And of course, when people come together from diverse places all over the world, then there are some challenges that may be bound to occur, and there are some difficulties that are bound maybe to occur. I want to give you a case study today so that when my guest is talking, you can understand exactly what it's all about. I have a case of a French black boy or a French black young man, and of course, a French white young man. These are two young people coming from France, and they want to stable here in Germany. They want to live in Germany. So take note, both of them are French speakers, both of them are born in France, both of them live in France, both of them went to school in France, and so they are coming to Germany to study. Now, the experiences of both will be different. The French white guy may have easy access to job opportunities, may have easy access to housing, unlike the French black guy. The question is why? That's why today, ladies and gentlemen, I got an expert on our conversation today, the racism talk, and her name is Charity Wairimu Ngugi Latz. Charity, you're welcome. Today we want to talk about racism and also the effect of racism and integration. How are you today, ma'am? Thank you that you're here.
Oh, thank you so much, Mira. I'm so grateful for your invitation. I feel very honored and I'm glad to be here. And I hope it to be a very enjoyable discussion with everybody else contributing their
I
experience.
feel particularly honored that you accepted the invitation because I know that you're a bunch of experiences, and I'm so curious to hear how was your own integration process? What were the things that made your integration process easy? What is integration? And I'm sure that our listeners will also be very curious. Let us welcome first Sila. Sila is here with us, and she says, "Good evening, good evening, Sila. How are you today? Just leave a message that you're doing fine, so that we can continue." Sila is with us. Sila is watching, and others too are watching. We have people watching also on YouTube, so we are not only on Facebook, we are also on YouTube. Sila, help me share the page. We have also Mila, who is also watching from Kenya. Mila, you're welcome to our conversation today. We have a conversation with our expert, and she's going to be talking about the effect of racism on integration. We are the diasporas, and we live in Germany, so there are some things that hinders the integration process. So, Charity or ma'am, how are you?
I'm very fine, Vera. Yes. What would you like? What do you like me to start?
I just find it difficult to say charity. It just came out of my mouth before I remember that I'm from African, and we don't just call the names of, responsible elderly people. We don't just have that kind of mindset. So I had to quickly shift my word again and then put the mom into it and put it into order. I'm happy to have you here, ma'am. And this is your platform. Today, you're talking about integration and especially the effect of racism on integration. You're welcome.
Thank you very much for the platform. I think, first of all, we'll start by defining what is integration. Integration is a social, political, and economic setup. And this setup, the integration policies that were set up so that with an intention of bringing people together. And the intention was that when the people come here, they feel that they are welcome. And the other aim was to break down the barriers of segregation and discrimination. And so when the people come here, they're supposed actually to feel very comfortable. But now, on this main topic of racism, in terms of racism and its effects on integration, there are very, very many areas. First of all, according to Germany is a democratic country. And being a democratic country, we are only about less than 5% of the population of 8.2 million people. That is the African diaspora. And we are a very minimum people. And in Germany, what controls is the politics, which is the elections, the parliament, the government, the administration, and the courts. That is what constitutes the whole laws. So even the integration policies are controlled from this level. Now, let me tell you a little bit about my background. My name is Charity Wairimu Ngugi Latz, and I come from Kenya. But I came to Germany in 1999. At the time I came, the internet was not so global as it is right now. And so by the time we came, the communication was more like through letters and postcards and telephones. We had even these telephone booths. So when we came here to communicate with one another, we were kind of secluded. So it was very difficult to really get information. So some of us who were educated, like I am a BA Hons, I have an honors degree in literature from the University of Nairobi. And when I came here, it was difficult to integrate because of the language. I came and I found there was a barrier of the language. I tried to go to school, but I couldn't be able to learn because I came without my children and I wanted them to come. And at this time, there was no formality of how you can get your children here. We relied on word of mouth. But so it was very difficult to really integrate. sort of integrated with the same community, my African community, and especially my Kenyan community. So it took some time for me to really integrate, to have any communication with with the other nationalities in Germany. So it was very difficult even to go to school because I got the wrong information. The information was not so open then. So I headed straight to menial jobs. I did a lot of menial jobs and in all the areas of the menial jobs. So I kept my degree aside. And a lot of us at that time actually did that because things were not very clear. Where do you go to get the information? Which bodies do you visit so that you can be integrated in the society? The information was not so well. Okay, come forward, we come to 2015. In 2015, there was a great influx, especially from the African community. And most of the people coming here actually were very young people, the people who came here. And they also came here, and because they're coming from either they're speaking French or they're speaking English, again, the language was a very big barrier. So they did not know what to do when they go to the offices. The offices look for somebody to interpret. And this interpretation time, translation time is a very short period. So, and they are also in a community where they are all hoarded up together. So again, they go into groups. So if it's the Africans, stick with the Africans, and sometimes even according to the countries. Like Kenyans with Kenyans, Somali, Nigeria. So even the Africans themselves didn't really stick together. So again, you see, there is the problem of the integrate. How are they going to get into the communities? It was very difficult, and it has been very difficult, and it's still difficult, but it is getting better. We shall discuss how it's getting better. So now, how does the racism come in? How does it affect the integration? The racism affects the integration in this way. The people who were supposed to welcome them and supposed to show them the ways of integrating into the German society, they themselves had no knowledge. Some of them had not met any Africans. They were social workers who did not know even the cultural differences. There's a lot of cultural differences. And then there is that racist aspect of Africa is categorized all as one. They don't, a lot of, we are taken as one group, we are stereotyped as one people, and a lot of the stereotyping comes from whatever was in the media. So all they were seeing was this flock of people coming on the boats, dying on the boats, wanting to reach here, coming here, dying, or when they come here, because they're not settled, then sometimes there's a lot of emotional breakdowns. There are a lot of little scuffles here and there. And a lot of the media made a lot of money out of just giving the wrong opinion. So a lot of the people also are now confused. But in the beginning, Germany really welcomed. And they welcomed a lot of people. So a lot of people came in. And this was the time when I'll be going back and forth with my life. At this time, I wanted to really know how are these people, when they come, who is welcoming them? So I really volunteered to go and work at the Red Cross and work in the halls where they were staying. And I saw actually, the thing is, you're welcomed, you're given some facilities, some piece of paper. So every day you are reporting to, let's say, about only 3 social workers, and you are so many of you. So these people are also overwhelmed. They don't speak the language. The interpreters are very few. So actually they were just getting help, but not really help that to be integrated. They had this feeling that when they come, they'll be immediately given the papers. As asylum seekers, they become refugees. Because when you become a refugee, then you can go to school and all that. So we had to just teach them in the halls. They could walk out of the buildings and everything, but you don't know the language, you don't know everything. So after some time, there was there were too many. So again, because of this too much, there came this other, and all the news that were coming in, there were a lot of other attitudes coming in that these people are dangerous to our society. These people, they are going to take our jobs. These people are taking our jobs. They are working underground. I don't know, they're doing this and that. So there was a lot of hearsay. And this a lot of hearsay had a lot of effect on a lot of the migrant people, and not forgetting that a lot of these people were young, or even people with very young children. Although they were getting education, when you first arrive, even though you were supposed to be integrated, how do you get integrated when you're all sleeping on the floor somewhere? You're having lessons, we are giving them lessons, but as children, you're teaching them the basics. The children were very okay to be taught, but like the parents could not, most of the ones who had parents with them, the parents could not learn because they are taking care of small children. You are all mixed up, different races from Syria, from Iraq to Africans, and you're all in one place, not, and it was very difficult. That there was no plan. There was absolutely no plan. So it really took about 2 or 3 years, and the plan is forming out slowly by slowly. So a lot of the first years were very hard for the people. You are getting a little money. When you're sick, you can go for some medical assistance. The basic things like medical, a place to sleep, a bed, and food, you are getting it. But that is not what the people were coming for. The people were coming that their dignity, they were running away so that their dignity, so that they may have dignity as human beings, that they may be accepted, they may be given papers so that they may go to school. The young ones may go to school. The older ones may be given a job. It doesn't matter what job, so that they can start earning, and not all of them, for example, sleeping in one big hall, whether it's parents, men and women and children and whatever it was. And Germany was one of the best. Don't forget, the best, one of the best of the immigration centers. So, but the thing is, were they getting integrated with the rest of the community? No, they were not getting, and until today, there are some places where it is still like that. There are some people who have been seeking refugee. They are still asylum seekers looking for a refugee status for so long. So there's a lot of mental disturbance. And then there is also the racial aspect of it, because after a while, the people started, after when some of them managed to go to school or got their refugee status, asylum status, and when they started going to school, they started doing very well. Some of them progressed very well, especially the Africans. They progressed very well. They were really ready to learn and whatever, and so they were integrated, some of them in jobs. But when they go in the jobs, now they started getting a lot of hostility again from the other people, that you have come to take our jobs, you are taking our jobs away. And so there have been scuffles here and there. There have been a lot of racist attacks, not so many in Germany, but sometimes the racism in integration is not so direct. It doesn't have to be violent. It means that you are pushed away. In the classroom, you are alone. When you are outside, for safety's sake, you're just one group. So that is one of the ways it affects. Racism does affect that. Okay. Another thing I really experienced is that racism, especially how it affects integration. In concern, now we are talking with Africans. I want to talk specifically about Africans, because Africans, we have always been at the bottom of the ladder. We are always the last straw. We are the ones who always suffer the most. So that you're not only getting racist attacks from just, let's say, for example, the natives, you're also getting it from others who are not our color, others from other nations, so that you are not really mixed up with them, even in the communities, in the housing. You go to places that in that area, you cannot comfortably live in that area. So there has been a lot of it, I'll tell you, for example, there's a book we co-authored a book. It's called The Perfect Migrant. And in this book, we are 11 of us. We all come from different parts of Africa, and everybody told their story of their arrival here. Some came to study, others like me came because of marriage, and there are others who came because of also joining the families and everybody. But everybody has a story of having somehow been their dignity violated. That is exactly not being treated as equal, not included, because that is what happens with racism. You feel not included. You go, like, for example, you find as much as you're told you're equal, as much as you're even maybe working here and earning a living, you go like to a supermarket and the person at the counter or somewhere, you'll find somebody is following you because they just assume that these young African men, or they must be pickpocketing something, and sometimes you might even be told to open your bag, which is not normal. It's not the normal thing to do. And when they stand, there's a lot of stereotyping when you see a lot of African, especially the men, the men have it rougher even more than the ladies, because the men, they have been stereotyped that they are brutal, they are out to steal. I don't know from where this idea came from, and they are not trustworthy. But the funniest thing is that, on the other hand, when they go to work, those who have employed any African people, for that matter, always say that they never want to let you go. Especially if you ever worked a menial job and you want to leave, they really feel hard, because we work double. We are hardworking people. We work double what the normal other person would do. We work very hard. So I don't know whether I can leave it there. We continue because it's going out.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you so much. Those were the effect of racism on integration. So you mentioned some few points, like it affects also work. To get work, we have the challenge, diverse challenges are here. We have um, lack of information, or again, you precisely said wrong information. Then you mentioned also the fact that the media has a very big role to play also. And then you said at times we have the feeling of not belonging. I'm going to definitely come back to those your words. I'm using the words that you said, and then you said there's a kind of violation of dignity. So we are like, and we are on the last on the ladder, and so we feel most of the time also that we are not belonging, and that our dignity has been violated. And you also spoke about the stereotyping or stereotypes, right? Did I summarize what you said?
Yeah, really, that's correct.
Thank you so very much. We have people watching for Kenya. We have from YouTube. We have also on Facebook. So we are live and on both panel. I'm very grateful to have you, ma'am, and I am very sure didn't make a mistake, because I know that you were packed with lots of experience, and you were going to share with us these experiences. I've been working also in this area for many, many years, and I know the challenges that are there as migrant, and especially as Black migrants. My first question to you, ladies and gentlemen, before I come to the question, ma'am, ladies and gentlemen, you can also ask your questions. Please feel free to contribute if you have also experienced anything on racism that has affected your integration process. If you are in Germany, or again in your diverse places where you are, just drop a note and then let us communicate, let us share. This is your platform. It is our platform. We come here to vent. We come here to exchange. We come here to talk. We come here to heal. And we come to empower ourselves, believing that after we've empowered ourselves, we can now take steps, and better steps for progress. So, and that's why I'm very happy that we are really selecting just the best, and the right people. So thank you so much, ma'am, that you've taken your precious time to be with us and to give us a lecture on the effect of racism on integration. My first question to you, ma'am, would be, what does it really mean to be integrated, and where lies the difference between assimilation and integration?
What it really means to be integrated is to be able to have your own identity, and to be able to walk, thrive in a place without having any fear of being judged, and also that you are able to be heard, and you're able to have the same kind of equality when it comes to things like housing, or that when you apply, for example, for a job or apply for a house, that you get it according to the standard, or I mean, when you fill in the form, that it is not judged because of color. That is when you call it that is integration. When you go in school, that nobody thinks of you as inferior or any gesture. Now there is to come back to that now, the difference, so that now people, I might maybe make myself a little bit clear. The difference between integration and assimilation is one thing. Assimilation means to be really colonized in the mind, where you really, yeah, when you even start saying things like comments like saying, oh, I would never want, no, I cannot go back to Africa. I wouldn't want my children to be brought up in Africa. They will not have the same chances, or you adapt so much of the white person's, the same comments they make about the blacks, you side up with them, like saying, our people, they are so loud, our people, like, for example, I'll give you an idea. When you start even not cooking your own food because the flat that you live in, you wouldn't want them to start saying that they're starting to smell of African food. There are people who get so terrified that they allow fear to make them be assimilated. Before you know it, you get assimilated slowly by slowly, and it's very difficult to get out of it. Remember, like how talks about the decolonization of the mind. And then language. Yes.
Language. Go on, ma'am. Go on.
Yes.
Go on.
Language is a very, 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 very powerful tool in which you can be assimilated. If, for example, you don't teach your child a single African language, because when we are told to be integrated, actually, I don't know where some of us got the idea that at home you're not supposed to talk your mother language. I actually asked at the Beholder one day, and they said, actually, we advise African mothers not to really talk to their children in Germany because they will talk with another accent. Like, for example, when I speak German, I speak broken German. And so if I was to teach my child, I would really teach them the wrong way. So at home, it's better I talk to them in Kikuyu and Swahili, and children catch up even 5 languages at a time.
Exactly.
So assimilation is taking the other cultures, taking the others' ideas and making them your own.
I have Anika Ebert says assimilation means you are colonized in the mind.
Exactly. That is that. Being colonized in the mind, being not proud of yourself, your identity, your color, your hair, your shape, and not being comfortable and feeling like you always have to validate yourself. That is assimilation. Allowing the other person to have power over you.
Ouch.
Yes, power over you. That is assimilation, giving your whole power away. And integration doesn't tell you that.
Thank you so much. That was so clearly distinguished. And then thank you to Anika, who says that it is a colonization again of the mind. And you said that, right? You said assimilation is the colonization of the mind, or in the mind. And it's like giving up your real identity for the identity of the oppressors. So you see, we're going back again to racism, right? So if you have to assimilate, then you're going back again to the language of the oppressor, the dresses of the oppressor, the food of the oppressor, and thinking like the oppressor, even though you're the oppressed. That was what Malcolm X said. I didn't say that. Okay, ma'am. Another question for you for today. Give 5 ways racism affects integration process of the Africans in Germany. 5 ways.
5 ways that racism affects. It affects us when it comes, with integration, we're actually supposed to have legal rights. That's a very big part. And the thing is that you cannot be legally represented properly when you are being legally represented, and especially when it is an issue like, for example, when you are camping, when you are against each other with somebody who is a native, and the person who is supposed to be your lawyer is also part of that, whatever, and they judge and everybody, and you all alone, it's the most likelihood that is because you'll not be really be heard. You'll not be able to be expressing yourself even very correctly because emotionally, even if you learn a language as how you find yourself, for example, sometimes when you're emotionally, you find yourself going back to your mother language, isn't it? Eh? I do. And so that is one area. There is that area that we are really not fully represented in the parliament, fully represented, not fully, at least a little bit more. We need more representation. So that means that the legal rights, we come across a lot of cases where there was some racism which played a part, very many cases. And also in the government and administration, for example, the Ausländeramt, the foreign offices. When you have a case like when the new refugees have come, although there is a translator there, but the main person who makes the decision and the decision makers usually are not people from Africa. So you understand, eh? So they really cannot understand. They always tend to think there's a lot of lies in the whole story. And so whether through another, you all tend to be put in one big box that these stories are never true. And also in the living conditions, housing, like I said, a lot of people have been turned down. You had applied for a house, but when you appear in person and they realize just because like your name is Samson, so somebody maybe assumes it's somebody else, and go there, Vera Samson, and then they see, oh, someone, they see, oh, that I was like, maybe they were expecting somebody else, you know? Yes, and then they find somebody else, yeah, or like me, Charity Latz, eh? Yes, and then they find it's not a German, it's somebody else. Huh? And also in the civic participation, that one is also another thing which I'll talk later, because I think that one we are playing a very big part. We must start participating, must start voting more. Yeah, that we have more representatives in parliament and in the civil sector. And then also in employment and what was I wanting to say? That actually it's the whole of life, but I think it's because we must start taking education seriously. Because with education, educated minds, and picking up positions, then we can be able, the next generation can have it not a little more equal.
So you're already coming almost to the solutions, but we'll stay again on the part of the effect now. So the effect of integration, you mentioned the fact that we are being affected somehow in housing. We don't Africans people or the black people really have hard time getting housing. You call for someone and then he says, oh yes, the house is free, and then suddenly you go there and then he looks through the window and sees that is a black lady coming, a black man coming, and then he shuts the door quickly and say, oh no, the house is over, there's no house again. So we see that we are affected there also, and also with the job market. In the job market, I know, like you said, and just to confirm to what you're saying, just by hearing the name, Sompon, and it's like, who is that, Sompon? And it sounds like an African name, it sounds like not European, so one gets some kind of disadvantages. No? We're going to come back to the parliament representatives and all that, and I want us to work on that towards like solutions, finding solutions on how we can properly have our way through, despite all the needs that are on our necks in Germany. Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome. We are talking today on the effect of racism on integration, and today with me we're having Charity Wairimu Ngugi Latz, and she is an expert in the area of migration and integration. I am very happy to have you, ma'am. And let's proceed. So we invite all our guests. Please send your contributions, give your messages. Maria Kine, I'm seeing you. Thank you for being there. And so please forward the links to others, invite friends and families. We have also people watching from YouTube. Thank you all who are in YouTube and watching. Thank you for being there. Thank you for always supporting the work. It is our platform, and only together can we build this platform. It is a space where we heal, a space where we exchange, a space where we empower ourselves, and we hope, of course, after being empowered, that we can be able to take actions for change. Ma'am, my third question to you, um, or the fourth question, what are the three most important steps for integration to be effective?
I think the biggest one is we have to get the information out there. We have to start putting the information out there. There's a lot of misinformation, so that the majority of the people have really no idea about integration. Even they don't even know. Most people don't know about the integration. The migrants themselves know about the integration and the immigration. But really, if you have really never gone through this kind of process, sometimes you are ignorant about it. And so what you hear is where you get, there's a lot of misinformation, and that is up to a lot of us to start, like some of us who are writers, we need to report more online, have online lessons. And so you asked me what, sorry, let me just get your line again. You asked for the solution.
The three most important steps for integration.
Steps, yeah, is good. The correct reporting. That is the information. The second step is that those who have been here, please make use of the education, because the education is available. The education is available, and like with everything else in life, is hard. Wherever you are, it doesn't matter which country you are, education is something you have to give your time. And you have to make it a habit. You have to have some sort of a program and a timetable. You can't afford to there's enough time to enjoy everything. Make sure you use every single loophole to educate yourself online, get more skills, and the skills that matter, especially right now that we are going into the ET system, and that's another very good step. And the third one would be, as a person, taking care of somebody should be able to be able to give themselves time to really know, to take care of their mental health, And by mental health, it means feeding yourself with the right information, learning things for yourself, researching for yourself, seeing where there's misinformation, and being able to, so that you're not so that you don't get psychologically affected, because there are a lot of young people who are really getting mentally disturbed, and that's something that is becoming critical, and especially like right now at the COVID times, when there's isolation, And, the other step is the most important also is with our IFAO, most of our social organizations, our community organization groups. I think we should start volunteering. Because we get a lot of volunteer services from outside. I know that the Germans really volunteer. In the Sprachraum I just worked with, it was the volunteer services were coming from the Germans, on the and even sometimes meeting on the weekend to just having conversations so that the language is better. And so we should be able to volunteer. If I could volunteer without a teacher, I think we can volunteer our time and volunteer people, seriously volunteer, and the skills that we have, give freely to our children, to other. They are our children. These young people who come, they need to be mentored. The young men need to be mentored. I see they are mentored a lot. I don't know, I've not checked very well with the young men, but I have a feeling that the young men are not really getting a lot of mentorship as much as the young women, because I know I'm in a lot of African women groups, and we are really helping to mentor each other. I know we are doing very well. We are really trying. This year has been very beautiful. Vera, we are in many together, and there is help there. And so that, I think that is the idea. What I can say.
Thank you so very much. To summarize, you said we need good information, we need to educate ourselves, we need mentorship, and you applaud already what the women are doing in their different organizations and groups. You say it's important to have more skills, and then you spoke about volunteerism, which is also very important. And I wanted to ask you, ma'am, when you talk about volunteerism, does it make a difference for us, like the Black people, to volunteer only with the Black organizations, or does it make sense, or does it profit if we also get integrated in the society in which we are?
Uh, Personally, for me, I think we can volunteer there, or we can volunteer in any society, because even in the other society, in the other groups, or for example, in the library, there were a lot of African, and it still goes on. Like the Sprackram is in the middle of the Cologne city. Huh? It still goes on. They still look for volunteers. I think somebody should volunteer where there is a need, where they feel their skill is needed most. And I think we should not totally segregate ourselves, because again, if we segregate ourselves, we are going against the whole idea. We are going back to square one. To segregate ourselves, I think it's not important. Where we can really volunteer a lot on our groups is like with homework groups, with childcare.
Homework groups, childcare.
Childcare, yes. Some of these very young ladies, sometimes they need some mothers, well, sometimes somebody needs to relax. Maybe they are doing their exams and come out in the group and say, can somebody volunteer at least 2 hours to look after my children so that I can be able to study for my end of year exam or something like that. All this kind of help, I think we can start giving each other. We should really look about the mental, because again, when a mother has got a lot of children, or even a father, and they are studying, they really need that, and at least back home, people had communities where you can leave your child, not exactly with charges,
Yeah. That's true. That's
Mhm.
true. This is an amazing conversation. I like the idea behind also this volunteerism, childcare, you said, but you also mentioned the fact that the young men, you have the impression that the young African men really do not have the support, just like the African women are having, because we are seeing we have a lot of African women groups and all this, and very few of the African men support groups to support the men. And we know that racism is not also leaving the men out of this whole story. The men too are really going through hard times with racism. How can we eventually help them too?
I think the best thing is we can join groups. We can start let's say, we can have a major group in every, for example, in every state, have one group that is major for all the other IFAOs, so that, I don't know whether this is the right time to talk about it, but I was thinking like
It is.
at the integration rat, like what is coming very soon. I don't know about the other states, but in like here in Cologne on 13th, I think, we might have so many groups, and the minimum number needed is 200. And then if you have so many other groups, then we don't get in. And always like the Turkish, they have a big majority because they comprise into one. So what happens is that when you have too many divided groups, then you don't come in, and then you don't have the power again. So why can't we sit down together and this time say 2020, we are doing it differently. We are going to see the one who has the majority, and then all of us come behind this one so that we have more seats in parliament. Because any kind of wealth without power, without political power, you can forget it.
Tell us more about that.
Yes, it starts with the power. Because even racism, what is racism? Racism is racial prejudice plus power.
Wow.
Yes,
Racial.
it's equal
Say
to
it again,
racial.
ma'am. Say it again,
Yeah,
ma'am.
racism is racial prejudice and bias, but plus power. And by
Wonderful.
power, I mean wealth. Not
Okay.
about money, wealth. You are
Yes.
holding the offices, having in all the big offices is your people. Yeah.
Having all the big offices, your people.
where people, anywhere where it matters, a signature matters.
Oh, that is a good one. Everywhere where a signature matters, you have your people in there because it's a signature that gives the final say. Oh, this is good.
Yes, and another thing I've just remembered why we should go into parliament, because we should fight that for all countries in Africa, we are given dual citizenship. This our lacking of dual citizenship makes a lot of us have to give up our country citizenship.
That's true.
Here,
that's true.
And then you are so divided. And when you're so divided, even economically, it becomes very difficult to thrive. You want to thrive here, you want to thrive back at home because you still have home ground. But when you have dual citizenship, then you feel safe. Why should all the other countries, most other countries have dual citizenship? Most African countries don't have. Kenya doesn't have.
Cameroon too don't have, and I think that we are not even going into that discussion now, because if you want to have a discussion on the African agenda, on Mondays we have African agenda discussion, and then we are going to talk about dual nationality on that platform. Today we are talking about the effect of racism on integration, and I'm welcoming all our listeners for listening from YouTube as well and Facebook. Thank you so very much. And Maria is saying, wow, nothing to add. You said something that was so particular, and she said, wow, nothing to add. We have Esther also, was a very long conversation. Esther said, great suggestion, Charity, especially in respect to volunteering. Perhaps this will change the poor image and stereotyping about the Black community, as well as bridge the gap between the different races, and which might at the long run lead to peace and growth. Thank you so much, Esther. Thank you for your support, Maria. Thank you for always being here. This was a nice conversation. Now let's talk about representation, because I think that you just mentioned it by passing. So let's talk about integration, representation in parliament, in political places, in the government. Ma'am, if you had the last chance and the possibility and you could change things, what would you tell us?
If I had the last chance and I was told this is my last chance to talk, I would say Africans, we are doing ourselves a disservice by dividing ourselves. Together, united, we will make it. Let us make sure that we, somehow or other, these next parliamentary elections, we come together and bring one group into it. So we come in as a powerful group, so we have as many seats as possible. So our signature matters. When just one person goes in there, it will never help us. But this is one of the best ways I know that politics, and also in the media, because media is very important. Like, for example, Vera, you have seen, we are not represented on the TV at the talk shows, even when they talk about integration or whatever, we are never there. Yes? So media and politics, that is where the power is. That is the power. We need the power, and let's go behind, let's identify who we want to represent us, and we choose these people and march together as one group for entering parliament.
This is, I've been interviewing people now, and at the end of our conversation, we always come to the fact that there is a need for unity, the uniting force. Ma'am, in your own word, what can be done specifically so that people become united, especially the different organizations, different groups in their different cities, so that they can have that one power to be able to overcome some of these challenges? What are the concrete steps and the things you think we can do that can push unity and sustain unity?
Vera, my daughter, let me tell you, unity starts with here. The minute you come out of the idea that it is about it is about me, the minute that you realize that even if you come into that power, you're not doing it for yourself, you're doing it for the next generation. These fruits don't come immediately, but for the next generation, you're showing the next generation how to live as a united people, so that there's no Cameroon, there's no Kenya, there's no Zimbabwe, you are one when it comes to being here. So you are seen as one, but we see ourselves as differently. We need to shift. We really need to shift. It's a mindset, and we need to keep on hammering it and having more and more talks about it until we sit down and say how. And we start with the integrations rat, because the integrations rat, that's what it's called, integrations. How can we be integrated when we are divided ourselves? You cannot get integrated in the society. Yes. Yeah.
I like you have your voting coming up, and maybe this is a platform you can talk to the people who are in Cologne, because we already had ours was this last year or this year, last year. So I think this is an opportunity for the many Africans who are in Cologne and in Cologne to understand how important it is to back up some people, that they know these people have a transformed mindset, that they can be able to represent the people and not their personal agenda. But now, how do we even get to understand the agenda of people when so much hypocrisy is there? Well, that's another conversation for another day. Now, this one today is that we want to understand that it is important to unite the force. So the one who is there and who can go, we bring up all that together and then support the people. But do you know, ma'am, that that's how many people actually do it? And they still have everyone still have their cakes, part of their cakes.
Yeah, but the thing is, for example, I will speak for the one I am for, House of Africa, IFE. I want to try it because South Africa is not one person. There are so many groups within this South Africa, IFE Cologne. So they are going inside and we can support them. There are about 4 groups invited inside and we can support them. If another more powerful comes up, House Africa, we will join them and come as up one. These are things we have been discussing, and these are things that we need to do. And also, definitely try and involve the young men. All these young men I see floating all over the city. Who speaks to these people, really? I don't think anybody speaks to them.
That's why we have a lot of them that are really frustrated. A lot of them, you said something about the mind, the psychological well-being. Many are going through depression. Many are psychologically sick because, like you said, who speaks to them? Who should have spoken to them, ma'am? Who should have spoken to them?
Who should have spoken to them? All the daddies out here. But we can still, there's time. Now is the time, as we need to form a platform where we speak to them. Yeah, we call them in a meeting, talk to them, start giving them, find out where they're having troubles. A lot of them are spending a lot of money with lawyers because they don't know which lawyers to approach. They don't know. There are people making money out of them for that, and we just have to approach them. I had to sometimes approach and talk to them. Yeah, so 1 or 2, if I meet them, just have a conversation with them, But we need to have that body. I am going to be working very much behind in House Africa so far. And this one, we are going out into the field and we are looking for them because we have identified there is a big problem out there. There is. And I've been through all this in Cologne. I've been here in 20 years in Cologne. I know that I was somehow lost in this kind of, these are things I've experienced. People who know me properly. And I'm not ashamed about it because I know it was my journey, but I don't want another person to go through the same journey.
Beautiful. That's why we are there. That's why there's a need to transfer knowledge. There's a need to transfer support so that the people who are here should not make the same mistakes that some of us made, right? Ma'am, to summarize what you said integration is really having your own identity, having access to work, having accessibility to things that are legal, equal housing opportunity. And you said assimilation is the colonization in the mind, wanting to speak like the oppressor, even when we are the oppressed. And then you said again that it's so important that we unite our forces together so that we can be represented in political scenarios, because at the end of the day, politics is power. Somehow that's what you said. And so we are coming almost to the end of the show, ma'am. Do you have any last words for your people? We have Sila listening to you, Maria, and many other people also on YouTube. Do you have any last word for us today?
Yes, I think one thing is that, like I said, we have to think about our mental well-being. So everybody has an accountability. Let's stop the blame game. Whoever today sees things, go and have a quiet time by yourself. Learn how to do some little meditation, even if it is 5 minutes of quiet time every day before you leave that house, so that your mind comes back, and then you think about the next step, being accountable. If you get a job, don't skip the job, please don't go to work. Be accountable, be responsible, and such. There's nothing comes easy. By the way, Vera, I want to tell everybody, it's not going to be easy. It's not an easy thing, but it can be done. And those who can support, please offer your services. And I think we are going to meet again, and we see how we can be able to help these young men, or maybe find out, maybe they have groups where they have. I really don't know, but I don't think so. Yeah, so.
Thank you so very much, ma'am. It was a pleasure and a privilege talking with you. And Maria Kaina is wishing you good luck for the upcoming election. And what concerns the men, we also have a sister who is having the Men Excel. So I think that would be a good way to come again together to network, so that together one can see how the Men Excel can also empower men in the direction that you're talking. And thank you, Vic, that you were here. My very important steps for integration was the language, was volunteerism. And of course, I think that volunteerism is one very important instrument, and that you have said that we have to get involved in the community and give our own part of the support wherever we can, where our skills are needed. Yeah. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we were talking on the effect of racism on integration, and our guest of honor today was Charity Wairimu Ngugi Latz, and who said that assimilation is colonizing the mind, and if the mind is colonized, then we can't properly be integrated. And she went further to say that integration is having legal access to housing, employment, or equal opportunity to the day-to-day and basic life in the community, so to say, the social, economic, and political aspect of life. And she has empowered us today to get involved in the diverse political seats where we are in our diverse places, because according to Charity, power is important, and power is in the politics. Thank you, ma'am, for being here today, and I wish you a nice evening and good luck for your upcoming elections. Hoping to see you again in another sector, and of course to empower the men in our community. God bless you.
God bless you too.
Ladies and gentlemen, 1 hour is just usually very little. 60 minutes is almost gone. And we had a dynamic woman with us today. And I'm so grateful that you have been listening from beginning up to now. Thank you. I can't call you all by names. We are growing day after day. So, but I appreciate all of you for being here. I appreciate that you take your time out. And remember, this is our platform. We come to exchange. We come to learn from one another. We come to empower ourselves. We come to heal from the hurts of the past. And after being empowered, we want to take actions for change. So, like today, our guest speaker said, get involved in the different political areas we want to be represented. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the show today. Thanks very, very much for watching, and we're meeting again next week, same time, with another dynamic person. Stay tuned. And I am hoping that the knees are getting off our necks bit by bit, for education, information is power. God bless you. Until then, stay well.